Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. Real quick, before I get into the topic of today's video, I just want to say I have something pretty cool coming for you guys in the next 2 weeks. I think you guys are going to like it, especially if you live in Indiana and you go to games and stuff. I really think you're going to like it. I have to finish that idea up. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks I'll be able to do that. But with that being said, just be looking out for that because I think you guys are really going to enjoy that. So there's that, and now I want to talk about the Indiana Pacers as a whole because ever since we got our ass kicked by 51 points by the Boston Celtics, this team has not looked good. Our defense has looked like shit. Our three-point shooting has been abysmal. And it seems like the only guy who shows up night in and night out to play for this team is Tyrese Haliburton, and everybody else seems like they kind of just show up to play based on whatever way the fucking wind is blowing that day. So I'm going to say some things in this video people are not going to like, and that's perfectly fine. We're not just going after Miles Turner in this one. We're going after everybody, at least the people that I see the biggest issue with. And, you know, or maybe not even so much that, just what I think the issues with this team are and things that I've been frustrated with in the past 2 or 3 years and just stuff like that. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the front office listening to the fan base too much. And this doesn't just go with trades, it goes with draft picks. I think a lot of you guys know I wasn't a huge fan of the Jarace Walker draft pick. I understand we're only 5 or 6 games into the season here. My problem with Jarace Walker is so far from what I've seen is some days he looks like fucking Pascal Siakam, and then there's other days that he looks like the next Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, okay? And even if he can just be Draymond Green, I think that would be a huge help to the team. The problem is I don't know if he'll ever be that. I do think he's going to improve. I think he's going to get more opportunity come the end of the year. It just, Jarace Walker officially looks like a guy that we probably should have not picked where we picked him. He officially looks like a guy that we probably should have picked later in the draft or let somebody else pick him. And I really wanted Taylor Hendricks. I was hoping we would get Taylor Hendricks, but being that the fan base seemed to be so diehard for Jarace Walker because he plays fucking defense, that was the guy that we picked. And you know, it seems like this is a trend with the front office with everything, not just draft picks. Same thing with you know, the trades that we make. Like, for example, last year before the trade deadline, there was rumors we were going to trade for Obi Toppin. Then it was like, yeah, let's trade for Obi Toppin. We needed help at power forward anyway. And then, you know, also like OG Anunoby, trading for OG Anunoby. We went out there and offered Toronto, 3 or 4 first-round picks, and they still said fucking no, right? And my problem with the whole thing is this fan base, the qualifications to be an Indiana Pacer based on the fan base is like, you got to be like just old enough to get your fucking working papers, and you got to shoot threes and play defense, and that's it. That's all anybody gives a fuck about. When it irritates me because I really think if this retool was done properly, we could get a guy like for example, like I think DeMar DeRozan would be a nice addition to the team. I know a lot of people don't agree with that. Even Karl Anthony Towns, I think, would be a nice addition. Nobody fucking agrees with that because, this player gets paid too much. This player's too fucking old. This player can't do this. This player can't do that. And I just think to myself, we are not really in a position to, like you know how they say beggars can't be choosers? Well, we're beggars, but also trying to be choosers. That's the problem with the Indiana Pacers fan base. It's a problem with the front office, right? Like when the front office makes moves on their own and doesn't include the fan base's opinion and shit, they generally turn out pretty well. You know what I'm saying? Like the Tyrese Haliburton trade, right? When we traded Sabonis for Tyrese Haliburton and Buddy Hield, we essentially kind of won that trade, right? Like, we got more out of that trade than we probably should have. You know, I thought we were going to get De'Aaron Fox because that seemed to make the most sense from a salary cap perspective, but we got Buddy Hield and Tyrese Haliburton, and so far since that trade took place, they seem to be the only 2 consistent players on the team. And even Buddy Hield is not the most consistent guy, but he's one of the more consistent guys on this team. And Tyrese Haliburton, when we got him, everyone's like, who the fuck is Tyrese Haliburton? I want a De'Aaron Fox. And it's like the people who really know ball, like the people who actually watch the fucking Sacramento Kings play, were like, that was a great trade. Like, I was excited as shit. And I got tons of people who were like, oh, well, we should have got De'Aaron Fox. Who the fuck is Tyrese Haliburton? His jump shot's weird and all this other shit. He doesn't play defense. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. Well, that trade turned out pretty fucking well for us. And you know what? The front office did not listen to the fan base on that one. So, you know what? I got to praise the front office for that because, you know, getting Buddy Hield and Tyrese Haliburton for Domantas Sabonis worked well for both teams, right? And it sucks because Buddy Hield is like a really good player, but we're not going to pay him what he wants, okay? Like, yeah, maybe Sacramento was dumb enough to give him $100 million to just stand out there and shoot threes and be good at nothing else, but we're not that fucking dumb. Okay, like, yeah, Tyrese Haliburton and Benedict and Buddy Hield, great players, but Buddy Hield is a guy that I'm just like, I don't see where we're gonna pay him 80, 90, $100 million to just come out here and shoot threes. I'm sorry, gone are the days of paying shooters $100 million to come out and just shoot fucking 3-pointers. All right, like everybody saw what happened with Duncan Robinson. Yes, Duncan Robinson is still a good player, but he had a pretty big slump, right? And teams don't want to be that. Teams don't want to have a bunch of salary cap room tied up into guys who can't play defense and who can only shoot threes. Sorry, that's the way the NBA is now. I don't care how much Pacers fans value 3-pointers or think Buddy Hield is the next Reggie Miller, okay? We're not paying for it. Unless, the only way in the NBA you get $100+ million anymore is if you're like an up-and-coming star, okay? Like, that's it. And Buddy Hield is like, yeah, he's all right, but is he worth $110 million? No. So, there's that. The other thing is also, like, with trades, you know, like the Obi Toppin trade, everybody wanted us to trade for Obi Toppin. Once we heard rumors about it, we traded for him. He's playing for us. I personally am taking my time with Obi Toppin. I'm like, you know what, we'll wait and see what he becomes, but we're 4 or 5 games in, 6 games in, everyone's like, oh, Obi Toppin sucks. Then, same thing is going to happen with OG Anunoby. Like, I'm just going to call it what it is. With OG Anunoby, everyone's like, oh yeah, we offered 4 or 5 first-round picks for OG Anunoby, and Toronto still said no. Yes, if we don't trade for OG Anunoby, odds are we're going to sign him in free agency this upcoming offseason, right? Or offer him an ass ton of money, probably more than he's worth to come to Indiana. But as soon as he starts having bad games, okay, because that's the only qualification to be an Indiana Pacer according to the fans, is play defense, shoot threes, and be just old enough to get your fucking working papers and you qualify. But if you're 32 years old and putting up 25, 24 points a game, no, the fan base doesn't want you because to them you're a fucking relic, okay? Like, I don't understand that. And honestly, I wish the front office would just do more moves by themselves and not even put it out there that they're looking at these guys. Because as soon as we do, the fan base jumps all over it and it incentivizes the front office to actually do these things. And then when they don't pan out, all of a sudden everybody blames the front office for making horrible fucking decisions. So that's my stance on that. Benedict Mathurin looks like the same fucking player this year that he was last year. His offensive awareness is really starting to scare me. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Shaedon Sharpe already looks like a better player than Benedict Mathurin. I know I was completely against drafting Shaedon Sharpe because of all the question marks about his defense and stuff like that, but the 1 year he spent in Portland with Nasir Little and stuff like that clearly did wonders for him. Shaedon Sharpe looks like such a better player than Benedict Mathurin right now. Like, I kind of can't believe it. Like, Shaedon Sharpe, his growth in the course of 1 year has been phenomenal. I mean, he's shooting like 37% from 3 this year, 46% from the field, maybe even 47% after last night. You know, he's making smarter passes. He's become a more willing passer. He's taking smarter shots. He's locking down on defense. Like, Shaedon Sharpe looks like a generational talent now. Like, I'm just gonna say that. Like, I know I was incredibly fucking wrong about him, and I will willingly admit that. I understand Benedict Mathurin was the more NBA ready guy, but already Shaedon Sharpe just looks like he's just naturally fucking gifted. Like, he's naturally gifted in ways that Benedict Mathurin is not. And unfortunately, it seems like we're going to end up paying the price for that. And, you know, I understand, honestly, like, I kind of knew the front office was going to take Benedict Mathurin because Bennedict Mathurin didn't have anywhere near as many questions about his game as Shaedon Sharpe did. Looking back on it now, like, yes, you could say it was obvious that Shaedon Sharpe was more naturally gifted than Bennedict Mathurin, but Bennedict Mathurin at least was proven to some extent. So I can't get mad at the front office about their draft pick for Bennedict Mathurin, but Shaedon Sharpe is already a better player than him. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's just the idea, like, there's so many things with this team that I'm just like, I just wish they would do a regular rebuild and stop trying to retool. They do this every time the team sucks, it seems, where they're like, we're not going to rebuild, but we're going to completely retool. And it never seems to go the way that we want it to or the way that we expect it to. Like, Miles Turner, for example, right? The reason I get on Miles Turner's ass so much is the idea, yeah, his contract is great for the team, and that's fine, but I'm watching second-year centers out of the draft play better than him. Jalen Duren, Mark Williams, fuck, even Derek Lively looks pretty good. Like, I just think to myself, like, why are we paying for a center if we really don't need to? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I understand everybody says this thing like, oh, Miles Turner's a top 10 center in the NBA. I don't think he's top 10. Top 11, yeah, we could get there, but top 10, I don't think he's top 10. Yes, he's had an up year last year. He's played okay to start this season, but it's just the idea. It's like there are times where Miles Turner looks completely overwhelmed, completely outmatched, and the only reason the fan base loves him is because he fucking shoots threes and blocks shots. Like, that's all he's good at. We got fucking Rafe LaFrez on our team, essentially, at center, you know, and like, I just think to myself, like, Miles Turner, his weaknesses, like, his strengths do not make up for his weaknesses. That's the problem. You know, Nikola Vucevic outplays him all the time. Bam Adebayo outplays him all the time. Historically, he has never outplayed Joel Embiid. You know, Domantas Sabonis went to another team and became better than Miles Turner has. Like, that was supposed to be the narrative, wasn't it? That, like, Miles Turner has done all this shit, come out, claim, oh, I'm a top 5 center in the NBA. I'm going to be an all-star this year. I'm going to be on Team USA this year. Oh, Domantas Sabonis is the problem. This player is the problem. This is the problem. That's the problem. Everything else is the problem but Miles Turner. And then we trade Domantas Sabonis, and suddenly Sabonis is already a better player than Miles Turner. And it's like, Miles Turner was supposed to flourish once we traded Domantas Sabonis, right? That's what everybody was saying. Oh, well, now that Domas is gone, Miles can be Miles. And honestly, I'm not impressed. You know what I'm saying? Like, the jump wasn't significant enough for me to be like, okay, yeah, he's great. Domantas Sabonis leads the league in fucking double-doubles. Like, almost triple-doubles. Like, isn't Domantas Sabonis averaging, like, some crazy shit, like 20, 12, and, like, it's like 20, 11, and 8 or some shit like that as a center. Like, he's passing the ball, he's scoring the ball, he's rebounding the ball, right? The only thing Domantas Sabonis doesn't do is shoot threes. And it's crazy to me because I'm like, if we had Sabonis and had traded Miles Turner, do you realize how much better this team would be? Like, think about that for a second. Like, granted, I get that we wouldn't have Tyrese Haliburton. I understand that. But it's like, had we done this a long time ago, right? Like, ditched Miles, kept Domantas Sabonis, maybe we could have drafted a point guard that we could have put next to Sabonis, a Tyrese Maxey, you know, somebody like that, a Cason Wallace, and we'd be like, okay, like, we've got our duo. But no, because fans love Miles Turner so much, we went with Miles Turner. Because he's so beloved by fans. And, oh, Miles Turner can play defense. Domas can't. Well, for somebody who can't play fucking defense, the Sacramento Kings were number 2. Weren't they number 2 in the West last year? I think overall, like, record-wise. And then they had the best offense in the NBA last season. So, like, I don't really fully understand the shit that's going on sometimes. And, like, I think to myself, like, yeah, you can advocate for the players all you want. Like, that's fine. Whatever player you like, that's fine. That's the player you like. But I just think to myself, at the end of the day, I'm really tired of us being a fucking mediocre team, right? And I hate the idea that it seems like every move this team makes is based on what the fans want. It's not based on what actually makes us a better team, or what's going to help Tyrese Haliburton, or, you know, what's going to give us a winning record. Like, yeah, I think Bruce Brown was a good signing. Did we overpay for him? Yeah. But it's just the idea, like, this team as a collective right now looks like shit, okay? And, like, I just think to myself, like, yeah, I don't know. I've I've not blamed Rick Carlisle for fucking anything because I understand the personnel that he has to work with is not absolutely the greatest. Okay, I'm sorry, Tyrese Haliburton's very good, but outside of Tyrese Haliburton, arguably everybody else on the team is a fucking role player. Okay, and same thing with the Charlotte Hornets and stuff like that. Like, when you're in that type of situation where it's like the best player on your team is one guy and everybody else seems like they're just, they're going to show up and play when, depending on how they're feeling that day. Sorry, it's role players. Even Buddy Hield, you could argue, is a role player. Miles Turner, you could argue, is a role player. Buddy Hield is a sixth man on a championship team, okay? Miles Turner is a sixth man on a championship team, okay? Benedict Mathurin, sixth man on a championship team. Okay, none of these guys are really have proven that they can be consistent starters, and that's the problem with the biggest fucking problem with the team is the idea that not a single person we have drafted or signed or traded for has looked like a consistent starter other than Tyrese Haliburton. We've had them in the past, right? In Sabonis, we had it in Oladipo, even TJ Warren to an extent. We've had these guys in the past. The problem is now we only have one guy on the roster that looks like a consistent starter. There is only one guy on the fucking team right now that you can look at and say, yeah, his job is not up for grabs, and that's Tyrese Haliburton. Okay? Even Jalen Smith right now, you could argue, I haven't looked at it, but Jalen Smith's per 36 minutes is probably better than Miles Turner's right now. And, when I look at this shit and I just think to myself, we glorify players that are fucking glorified role players. And I think to myself, as time goes on, I don't think it's going to get better. I simply don't. I just don't think things are going to get better until we start making decisions based on what is best for the team and not what is best for the fucking fan base. Okay? Because, that has been the biggest issue I've had with this team for a very long time. It's our fucking draft picks are what the fan base wants. Our trades are what the fan base wants. Our signings and re-signings are what the fan base wants. Give it to the fucking trade deadline, man. I'm going to tell you right now, give it to the trade deadline, okay? It's going to come time to either sign Buddy Hield or trade him, and the fan base is going to come out and cry from the fucking rooftops that we need to keep Buddy Hield. And I understand why, because he's a good player, but at the same time, it's do we really want to pay him $100 million? That's the question. Do you really want to pay Buddy Hield $100 million? I think most of you would say no. I can't even say that. I think half of you would say no and half of you would say yes. Because you think he's the second coming of Reggie Miller. He can't play fucking defense. He can't really get to the basket that well. He's not a great handler of the ball. But because he shoots a fucking three-pointer at 43% and is great at shooting threes, suddenly we want to keep him. Even though you could probably get Luke Kennard in the fucking offseason this upcoming year, who led the league in three-point percentage last season, ahead of Buddy Hield. Even though you could get him in the offseason, most likely, we want to pay $100 million for fucking Buddy Hield. It could, because vibes. That's the problem I have with the fan base, is the idea that, we don't look at shit logically. We go purely based on emotion, and I get sports are an emotional thing that we're all passionate about, especially with the Pacers, but I just think to myself, man, I just want the front office to stop listening to forums and chat rooms and the noise, right? Just do what is best for the team. And even with OG Anunoby, I know fans want OG Anunoby, and yeah, he's a solid, good young player, but is he a guy that turns us into a championship team? No, he's not. Sorry, he's not a Brandon Ingram. Okay, he's not a fucking Kevin Durant. He's not even a fucking Mikal Bridges, I don't think. Does he have the potential to be that? Yeah, maybe, with the right opportunity. And I don't know what's going to happen by the trade deadline, because we do need to trade Buddy. TJ McConnell's probably on his way out. Jalen Smith, if he keeps playing the way he's playing, we're going to re-sign him. Jalen Smith is a guy that finally looks a lot better this year. Sticks and Aaron Nesmith are the only two guys outside of Tyrese Haliburton on this team this year that I look at and go, they improved. Okay, like Jalen Smith looks more mature this year. He looks less like random out there. Like he looks like he has a feel for what the fuck is going on now that he's coming off the bench again and isn't a starter. Maybe Jalen Smith is just specifically a bench player, but like I'm sorry, everybody else on this roster is up for grabs. I think TJ McConnell, even though TJ McConnell's all right, TJ McConnell, Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, okay, like Isaiah Jackson. Like I think there's a bunch of players on this team that are up for grabs, and come the trade deadline, who knows? I don't know who's gonna want what for Buddy Hield, but it's just the idea, like, I really, really worry about the direction of this team and the idea that it seems like once we get into a funk, we can't get out of it, you know, because there's nobody else on the team that seems to be capable of getting out of the rut other than Tyrese Haliburton. You know, we need strong-minded guys on there. I get it. We're a pretty young team. You know, we got Andrew Nembhard, Jarris Walker, Benedict Mathurin. Miles is going to be 29. You know, it's just like, all I'm saying is, Tyrese Haliburton needs some help, okay? But at the same time, as an organization, like, they need to stop listening to the noise from the fan base in a way, because I feel like part of the reason this team is not as good as it could be is because we keep listening to the fan base. Oh, we want to, it's like, oh, we might get Obi Toppin. We might go after OG Anunoby. The fan base goes, yeah, get those guys. And then all of a sudden we fucking get them. And then when they don't play up to expectations, everyone's like, the front office doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. You know? So, I don't know, man. You know what? I'm rambling at this point. It's 21 minutes long, but that's my take on it. It's just the idea shit does not look good right now, and I don't expect it to continue to be this way, but you know, if we're gonna start moving pieces around and picking guys up and doing shit, we need to get guys that are going to play consistently. Luke Kennard plays consistently. I will say that. Like, he's a guy that for the Grizzlies last night looked really, really good. I get he's played like 3 games now, but you know, as he's getting more minutes, he's starting to look better, getting back into the feel of things. But I just want the front office to get guys that can play consistently, because right now the only guy on our team that plays consistently is Tyrese Haliburton, and that if that's the case, we're not going to win a lot of games. So, I mean, Tyrese Haliburton put up 43 points against the Charlotte Hornets the other night, and we still lost that game by a point, when that's not a team we should be losing to. So, tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report. And I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.